Gates, thresholds, pillars, and energetic entryways. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11-time published author, and this is the Symbolism series, a decoded breakdown of the most misunderstood and misused language on Earth, the language of symbols. Today, we're beginning a two-part deep dive into ritual architecture. This first video focuses entirely on gates, the thresholds of power, the entrances of transformation, and the often unseen boundary lines that govern who we are the moment we step across them. In modern life, a gate is just seen as an entry or exit, a fence opening, a security checkpoint. But symbolically and energetically, a gate is never neutral. It is always a boundary between states, a liminal portal, a ritual crossing point. And when you begin to see gates for what they truly are, you realize how often you're being spiritually processed, transitioned, or initiated, without ever giving your consent. Let's begin with the ancient roots. In nearly every civilization, the gate was sacred. In Mesopotamia, gates were embedded into city walls, not just as military structures, but as ritual portals. The Ishtar Gate of Babylon wasn't just for protection, it was a ceremonial passageway. Covered in blue glazed bricks, adorned with lions and dragons, it symbolized entry into divine jurisdiction. Passing through the gate meant stepping into a spiritual order. Ancient Egyptian temples also had highly ritualized entry systems. You didn't just walk in, you passed through pylons, monumental gateways that represented mountains or horizons. Between the pylons was the axis mundi, the center line between earth and heaven. The act of entering meant aligning yourself with cosmic order. You were being judged, measured, transformed. In both Egyptian and Greco-Roman temple complexes, gates and doorways were flanked by columns, what we might today call pillars. These weren't decorative. They represented masculine and feminine polarity. In Kabbalah, this symbolism becomes more explicit. The two pillars, Boaz and Jachin, flank the entrance of Solomon's temple. They represent duality, strength and beauty, severity and mercy, active and passive forces. You do not enter sacred space without first passing through duality. This symbolic gate encodes a choice, a test of balance. We see this repeated in Freemasonry, where initiates are led between two pillars as part of their induction. It's a reenactment of Solomon's temple, a literal ritual crossing that marks a shift in spiritual status. The initiate is moving from ignorance into light, or so the symbolic language claims. But what's crucial to understand is that the gate itself is the activation point. It is the spell. You step through it, and you are transformed, or bound. Now let's translate this into modern life. Gates are everywhere. In court buildings, theme parks, concerts, airports, and government offices. Think of metal detectors, security scanners, archways with guards on either side. Even if you don't recognize it, the setup is ritual. You approach, you're evaluated, you're watched, you are symbolically stripped, shoes off, belt off, arms outstretched, and then you are allowed to pass. This is initiation, whether into travel, legal jurisdiction, or consumer experience. One of the clearest modern examples is the red carpet entrance. Think of Hollywood award shows. Celebrities walk through archways, under lights, flanked by cameras. The entrance is designed like a temple. Massive steps, tall columns, illuminated signs. The gate is always prominent. It says, "This is not normal space. This is elite space. And you must pass through the designated portal to be sanctified by public attention." The same pattern appears at music festivals. Ever notice how you always walk through a massive, often glowing archway to enter? The structure is often abstract, covered in symbology. You enter through it without questioning, but you are symbolically agreeing to enter a new frequency. A ritualized space governed by the organizers, the lights, the music, the crowd. That gate? It's a ritual device. And you just walked through it. In theme parks, the same applies. Take Disneyland, for example. You pass under the sign, "Here you leave today and enter the world of yesterday, tomorrow, and fantasy." That's not just poetic branding. That is declaration. You've entered an alternate dimension. The gate sealed the transition. In courtrooms, the ritual becomes even more spiritually charged. Before entering, you pass through a gate, often wood or metal, separating the gallery from the court floor. Once past that threshold, your legal identity is no longer equal to your physical body. You are a person under law, a fiction, and everything you say is recorded, judged, and potentially bound by oath. The gate wasn't just furniture, it was your energetic submission point. Let's go deeper into the architecture. Many gates are flanked by statues or symbols. In ancient times, these were guardians, lions, sphinxes, angels, or deities. Their role was to intimidate, warn, or spiritually weigh the entrant. Think of the lion statues in front of New York Public Library or the U.S. Treasury Building. Think of the eagle perched atop many military entrance gates, or the archangels at cathedral doors. These aren't just decorative. They are symbols of force, spiritual or governmental, and they tell you, without saying a word, who governs the space beyond the gate. Another frequent gate symbol is the circle within the arch, an eye, a sun, or a disc. You often see these above court doors, theater stages, or corporate entrances. The circular symbol above the gate represents surveillance, radiance, or omniscience. It is the spiritual version of "you are being watched." It says, once you pass through this gate, you are seen. Even digital life mimics this. When you pass through a portal online, think login screens, terms and conditions, CAPTCHA verifications. You are performing a gate ritual. You offer your identity. You pass the test. You gain access. That's a symbolic gate. And every time you click "I agree," you are stepping into a new jurisdiction. So why does this matter? Because gates are not just physical. They are spiritual checkpoints. And passing through one always alters your energetic state. Whether it's entering a cathedral, a concert, a courtroom, a club, or a campus, you are being symbolically rewritten. And if you don't know what the gate means, or who built it, or what ritual it performs, you are consenting blindly. This is the heart of symbolic architecture. It's not about aesthetics. It's about energetic reconfiguration. Gates serve to funnel, filter, or refocus your frequency. Once you walk through, you are inside the spell. And most of the time, you're participating without knowing what you agreed to. Let's take a moment to explore city gates. In many old cities, the gate was the only way in, and it was guarded, taxed, and watched. To pass through was to be counted, categorized. Think of Berlin's Brandenburg Gate, or Paris's Arc de Triomphe. These are not just monuments. They are symbolic declarations of power. The arch is the passage from one realm to another, from ungoverned space to sovereign domain. Masonic lodges often use double arches, a pair of gates or concentric entrances, as symbols of layered initiation. You don't just pass through once, you pass through again and again, deeper into alignment with the governing system. Whether spiritual, legal, or technological, these designs reinforce submission to an order. And yes, we even find gates in death rituals. Mausoleums, cemetery entrances, even the phrase pearly gates. These all point to the belief that gates don't just separate places. They separate worlds. The living from the dead, the sacred from the profane. The initiated from the profane masses. In energetic terms, gates are conduction points. Just like an electric switch, they turn on something. They modulate what flows through them. If you've ever felt different the moment you stepped through a church door, onto a stage, or into a hospital, you felt the charge of a gate. Your nervous system responds. Your posture changes. Your speech may shift. That's not just nerves. That's symbolic conditioning, deeply embedded in our ancestral memory. The final gate we'll touch on today is the body itself. Your eyes, your mouth, and yes, your birth canal, are gates. The body is a temple, and every orifice is a threshold. That's why so many spiritual and sexual rituals revolve around openings and closings, entrances and exits. The kiss, the breath, the birth, all gates, and all powerful. So how do you protect yourself? Not by avoiding gates, but by recognizing them, by pausing before you enter, by naming the ritual, by refusing to pass through unconsciously. Because once you see the gate for what it is, you reclaim your position as a conscious traveler, not a passive initiate. Because the truth is this: gates are everywhere, and when you overstand their power, you stop being processed and start becoming the one who chooses where to stand. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas. 11 times published author and School of Soul has just released one of our most requested deep dives, the Magic and Occult series. This series is not for the faint of heart. It's for those who know there's more going on beneath the surface, behind the media, behind the family, behind the system. This series breaks the spell and hands you the map. The Magic and Occult series includes over 200 videos on 1. Entertainment or ritual. Decoding mainstream media as mass spellwork. 2. Occult families. Spot them. How generational magic and ritual lineage hides in plain sight. 3. Occult symbolism. The signs, seals, and signals used to claim, curse, or command. 4. Esoteric symbolism. Layered meaning, sacred geometry, and encoded messages. 5. Law is magic. How contracts, courts, and language are rituals of power. 6. Spells and spirits. What magic really is, and what happens when you use it. 7. Covens and lodges. Where modern ritual happens, and who's involved. 8. Destiny swapping. How rituals steal timelines, talent, or soul contracts. 9. Energy harvesting. Spiritual parasitism, and how to seal your field. 10. The clairs. Your intuitive senses. Clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and more. 11. Become magical. How to strengthen your gifts, protect your mind, and wield conscious force. 12. Miracles are real, divine intervention, faith portals, and supernatural reversals. 13. The chosen ones. What sets them apart and why they're always targeted. 14. The black sheep, the generational breaker, often isolated by design. 15. Targeted individuals, spiritual and technological targeting of aware souls. 16. Gang stalking, organized spiritual and psychological warfare. This is the most revealing, most spiritually advanced, and most protective series SOS has ever released. If you've ever felt something was off about this world, This will confirm it and prepare you for what comes next. Your protection begins with knowledge. Join the SOS School of Sos Vault.